Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage, on a somewhat gloomy mid 40 degree Monday in the state of Maine with snow in the forecast. Everyone's panicking already, canceling activities for tomorrow. Who knows what we'll actually get? It's mid-March. It's not going to last. I mean, the foot or so we got last Saturday's nearly all melted. Not all of it, but majority of it. But like a good scout, I did walk over and made sure my generator was ready to go, check the oil, kick the tires. Just in case, because they are calling for 50-mile-an-hour winds. So this afternoon I've been digging around looking for something, which always leads to more cleaning. But that has nothing to do with the crankshaft in front of me. A friend of mine called last week. Yeah, I'm on one of his lists of people to call if he has random junk to get rid of. And he had an 1182 casting forged steel 350 Chevy crankshaft, which could be out of like a Z28 Camaro, an LT1 Corvette, could be out of a dump truck. Who knows? It was just turned 2020. And it needs to be oiled up and put in a bag, but for 150 bucks, I dragged it home. And while I was there, he also had a cast 68 large journal 327 crank that's 1010, and I brought that home too. And I'll put it in my pile of small block Chevy parts. I have an unfulfilled need to build a couple decent small block Chevys. I got two of them half done, a 377 and a 421. That is on the short list, I promise, to finish, so at least they can sit around complete and ready to run. But I was collecting, I have a few other blocks, and I just thought it was a good deal. Couldn't pass it up. And now it's kind of like when you get something with a roof, like a trailer or another garage or a storage box or something. It's something else to maintain. Now I have to make sure it doesn't rust on my watch, because right now it's bare steel. If you look over my right shoulder, there's a set of yellow wheels down there. That's a welding cart I got from a friend of mine a few weeks ago. A year ago, January, when I bought the AHP 203 TIG welder, little small yellow one, inverter machine, I had it sitting on top of my giant Lincoln Precision TIG 275, which has a dual regulator, and I was running one welder off each side of the regulator. And that's where it's been sitting for a year or so, until I recently got the welding cart, and I wanted to separate the two and have the small inverter machine a lot more portable. And that will require a second argon bottle. I originally put the dual regulator on the Lincoln Precision TIG 275 so I could make a purge line so I could eventually weld stainless steel the correct way. And that will still be the plan for that. But the second bottle, I get the T cylinders, the biggest one one of my local gas suppliers has, because if you're going to pay rental on a tank and contents and pay for delivery, because the truck is in Standish every day, but they still charge you to come and drop it off, but it saves me from having to do it. So it's a pretty decent service for 15 bucks, whatever it costs. I'll have to look at the slip when it shows up. So I called last Monday, and I have my account number. I have it written on every bottle, so it's easy when I call. I can stand next to a bottle when I call them up. And a friend of mine used to work there, and he took good care of me. Really easy to deal with. That's why I changed to this company from another company that wouldn't sell me nitrous for my race car. I wanted a mother bottle, and the guy said he couldn't sell a citizen nitrous. I don't want medical grade. I want the stuff with sulfur in it for racing, but that's a whole nother story. So I moved over to this other company. They've been pretty good, but you're just a number. And I called Monday and said I already pay for rental on one that I want to replace. I want to swap that one out, so I got to pay for the contents. You've already paid rental on it, so they just swap the cylinder. And I want to add a second cylinder. And the guy's in a real hurry on the phone, but he says, you should just own the cylinder I'll sell it to you for $280. Well, the rental's nearly that for 3 years, so yes, I will buy the cylinder. He said, okay, we'll drop it off Thursday. Thursday comes and goes. It's the end of the day, 4:45. I call and said, hey, how late do you guys deliver on Thursday? I haven't got my cylinder. Oh, you must have had too many cylinders. He'll probably be there tomorrow. So sure enough, the driver pulls in Friday morning, and he says, I don't think I have what you want. And he shows me a cylinder about that big. He says, this is a customer-owned cylinder. Why would you want that? You have the big bottles. I said, I know, and I don't want that. So another call to the store to start over. Same guy, but this time, hopefully he gets it right, but I won't see it until this Thursday. So hopefully by this Thursday, I'll have 2 functioning TIG welders. That was a long story to get to my point, huh? But the fact remains, this is what you deal with all over the place. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. I guess good help is hard to find, or at least people that will listen. I even said the size cylinder I want in their terms because it's a T cylinder. That's what they call it. Other companies call it something else. So I know in their jargon, because I wrote T right on all my cylinders too, because 2 or 3 years when I fill it up again, I'll forget what kind of cylinder that is. So I thought I had my bases covered. Didn't matter. Yesterday morning, I came out here in the shop, and I had bought in a weak moment an Eastwood bead roller table. It goes all the way around, kind of looks like a banjo or a guitar. I saw it on sale. It was like $118 delivered. In an unrelated story, I also have an extra stand, so I'm halfway to another bead roller. Well, a quarter of the way anyway. More on that later, but I decided yesterday afternoon that I was going to build a brace that bolted on. It's a 5/8 plate, Wilwood super bead, but I could grab the dies and I could flex the whole machine just with my hand. So I wanted to alleviate that, and the other plate bead rollers that I've reinforced, I've ground all the paint off, I've welded bar stock all the way around in a U, and that completely eliminates any flex. So if you go grind all that off and make a nice U support, you can take a cheap bead roller and make something out of it. This was supposed to be a little bit better. I don't want to repeat myself too many times, but this one's advertised as not flexing. Well, it does. And as I've come to find out, a lot of bead rollers will do the same thing. I flexed a Midler Brothers the other day with my hand. So I wanted to use, instead of stripping it completely, something that bolted on. So I used on the bottom 2 existing holes. This hole I had already drilled for my table, and the mounting hole over there. Hindsight being what it is, you know, perfectly clear, I should have just drilled 4 new holes, because the top was a lot easier, just drilling and tapping the bead roller, making my brackets and sticking them on there, and welding up the tube. I had to split the tube in half. I'll show it to you, but I don't know if you can see it. Because when I was ordering my bead roller dies from JMR, you have an option for a 120 degree die, which will let you bend 90 plus, so it'll, when it spring backs, you get 90 degrees. Or a, what do they call it, 240 degree die, that way you can bend 180 plus, so it'll spring back. The difference in price was $50. Now for the 1-inch die, I did buy the die that I can bend 180, and that's how I was making the dry shaft loops, but I could not envision ever bending 1.25 inches or larger 180 degrees. And the very first thing I go to bend 1.25 inches, I need to go 180 degrees. And granted, I was able to make a bigger radius because I wanted it to be higher and lower and not be in the way, but it made me laugh, and it was actually probably easier to do it in 2 pieces. And I just ended up MIG welding it together. And the way it always goes, the welds that are up under here are flawless. The ones I can see right here, I was holding everything together, and there was a dot of slag between the tip of my welder and the shield. And when that happens, it shorts through the side of it, so messed up my bead, so now I got to stare at an ugly weld and forever hate myself. Makes me want to rebuild the whole thing, but in the end, it's just supporting a cheap bead roller. So I'm probably going to build another one, so a big one. My buddy built one not that long ago, and he still has the program on his plasma table that he's got. He's actually pricing out material today, so we'll see how much that's going to set me back. I already have a stand and another table, plenty of dies. I don't know if I'd sell this one complete and buy all new stuff or just steal everything off this one, so time will tell. Probably build another one completely. Almost forgot to mention, I used 1¼ inch 120 wall mild steel that I had a whole bunch of it up overhead in the rack there, so I was able to, bend a 90, cut it off, build the lower half, and then build the other half and cut it to length. And it was a fun project, and it did pretty much 100% eliminate, 95% eliminate the flex. So 3 weeks ago now, I ordered some more 22mm shaft because I want to make some 5 or 6 inch shaft extensions that will effectively make this one a 24-inch bead roller. So in theory, you could, do the middle of a 4-foot wide sheet. What I didn't notice on eBay, that they're coming out of New Delhi, India via FedEx, and they've been sitting waiting for clearance to leave the country for 2 weeks now. So I bought some M10 1.5 studs that are threaded all the way through, so I can use these existing holes, just make a couple shafts. I'll machine a flat spot for the set screw, and I'll be able to put them on or take them off. When I'm using them, obviously the extra length is going to make the flexing worse. So what I'm actually going to do as a temporary fix, don't laugh, I'm going to thread a couple holes right about here and bolt on this hunk of aluminum. And with this stretched out, it's going to give me this much room, and then if I need to go deeper, I can just take out 2 bolts. But most of the time, you're not doing anything that deep, and this will absolutely eliminate any flex. And it's a Band-Aid patch on a cheap bead roller that none of this you should have to do, but that's what you get when you try to save money. But after I unpacked the Eastwood bead roller table, I would have been able to make it fit, but not when I put my shaft extensions on there. So, rethinking it, I like my little aluminum table, if you will. I had it on my other 2 bead rollers. It works really sweet. And I'll just save the Eastwood one for my upcoming project. But I'm going to build one that won't flex, and I'm going to make my shafts stick out more than a normal bead roller, maybe 5 or 6 inches, and I'll build accordingly to that. I like having them stick out. I don't like them when they're right in close to the bead roller. Just the way I like it, I guess. Here's my little Alpha TIG 203 on its new cart, which I just, not until this very moment, realized that they make a nice combo, yellow wheels and a yellow welder. It no longer lives on top of my Lincoln, which is good. I showed you this, but I recently cleaned off this bench and have done a good job keeping it welding stuff only. And I've been coming down here to TIG weld. I build transmissions on my fabrication bench, and I'm down here welding on a little bench. Makes perfect sense to me. But while looking for something this morning, I found this bench. It's a project that never saw its end. I was going to paint the storage rack, and originally I bent up the steel. This is quite a while ago now. 10 years probably, or more. And I just set it on the rack, never properly reinforcing it. So a few years ago I took it off and I put some slats underneath it and just set it back down. It just sits there. And now it makes a pretty decent bench, but it's always covered in stuff. The only thing I've ever accomplished on this bench was my nitrous kit on my orange Camaro on my tunnel ram. That was back in 2009 or 10. 2009 probably. It's been covered with stuff the entire time. I get it cleaned off, and I'm not quite done cleaning it obviously, but it has a usable space. Maybe I'll be able to keep it available. As I mentioned, the red bench over by the door, I bought it when I did the garage, and I've never actually built or done anything on the bench other than pile stuff on it. Well, okay, break time is over. It's back to doing something. Kind of on a cleaning streak now. I might as well finish the day trying to uncover benches. I just took that crankshaft and set it on that red bench, the one spot that was left on it. But someday, I'll put everything in its place, and then I won't be able to find it, which is why I was looking for something today, which I did finally find. I actually gave up looking for it, went to plug in my welder, and there it was right there. So anyway, have a great evening. Hope it doesn't snow too much if you're in this part of the country. And I'll catch you in a couple days.